Good morning, Rep. Arrington, and thank you for coming here today. I'm Cheryl Grieb, Head of Public Policy, but of course we've worked together in many other areas of the county. Again, thank you for coming today. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your district and how redistricting has or has not changed that.
Absolutely. Well, we did redistricting at the end of the census, and Osceola had the most growth in Florida. So my seat and the others obviously had to lose some folks, which means we picked up another seat in Osceola, which I think is a benefit for us because we will have then 4 legislators in the House representing Osceola. So the more voices, the better. But my district shifts a little bit. I lost BVL and Lakeside area, and then I picked up all of Poinciana. Currently, myself and Representative Hawkins share Poinciana, so it's very frustrating to folks when you live on one side of the street, you have me. If you live on the other side of the street, that you have him. So it'll be nice that Poinciana will have all together with one representative. And then I also picked up a little bit more of the West 192 corridor, going all the way to Celebration Avenue, but not taking in Celebration, which is also nice for the hotel corridor because that was split up as well. So for the business owners and those folks that are living in hotels, they will have one representative now.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. I had a couple questions I want to go over, if that's okay with you. What is your main priority when it comes to real estate legislation?
Absolutely. Well, I would say my main priority is definitely affordable or more attainable housing for Osceola. Constituents also talk to me about property insurance and HOA legislation. So all of those things, it's hard to come up with just one priority, but during COVID, a lot of those things have taken a back seat, and as we all know, we definitely need more housing.
Excellent. We agree with you there. Switching gears a little bit, what about on the environment? You know, there's a lot of money that went down to the Everglades, but what other priorities do you see, especially when it relates to Osceola County?
Absolutely, and you know, you and I have had many conversations about this offline, and our beautiful Lake Toho and how that is such a treasure for us, and that's the start of the Everglades. So we need to make sure we take care of it. If we're going to be investing in the Everglades, then we need to also invest in Lake Toho. It's also a great economic driver for us for Bass Pro, that's the store, Bass tournaments, and then also for selling real estate. It's horrible, I'm sure, when realtors are showing property and they have this green sludge on the lake behind them, or people aren't going to be able to navigate their boats through the lake. So myself and Representative Hawkins both had appropriations to help with that this session that have made it to the budget. So we're just waiting for the governor to sign off on those. But I think investing in our local lakes and cleaning those up is the right direction for that.
And I appreciate that extra push for us here in Osceola County. What is your stance on the business rent tax, and how do you see that moving forward?
Absolutely. Well, last session we passed an online sales tax, which helped reduce the business tax once that employment fund gets replenished. I think it'll go down to half, which I think is great. I was a co-sponsor of that bill. I think we need to look at more ways to remove it completely. I don't like any time when Florida is looking less desirable to businesses coming to the area, and since Florida is the only place that charges that business rent tax, we need to get rid of that also for our small businesses that are starting up. You know, those dollars do mean a lot to them.
Excellent. Music to our ears.
Absolutely.
What do you feel, as an elected official, is the biggest issue Osceola County faces in regards to the real estate industry? And I think you mentioned a couple of those items.
Absolutely. Affordable housing, which I do think we need to work on rebranding it, because affordable is also, what do you consider affordable? So attainable housing, housing that our workforce can actually get into, not just buying, but renting. I'm sure realtors have been seeing this, where folks are moving from other areas. On my house, both sides, people move from another state and purchase that, which is great that we're bringing in you know, new money and new folks. But unfortunately, because they're offering much more money over asking price, and because the inventory is not there, it's unfortunately making it hard for those folks that are keeping our economy going and keeping our tourism going and keeping our students educated and fed. They're unfortunately getting pushed out of the housing. So that is the biggest issue, that and property insurance. I hear the most from my constituents on that, and their numbers increasing double and triple each year.
Yes, and do you see any ways to help curb that rising insurance costs?
Absolutely. It's a complex issue, otherwise it would have been fixed by now, and I know we've looked at the legislature has looked at different pieces of that. I do think that, unfortunately, there's bad actors on both sides, and I think we've had that discussion before about how, folks take advantage of homeowners on these roof repairs.
Free roofs.
But probably the realtors know more than anybody, and probably saw before anybody that this was a problem when people that are selling their houses can't sell the house because they have to have a new roof, or people buying the house can't get insurance on the roof, and that's a problem for everyone. And then also when people are not being able to afford it. So we definitely need to look at ways to keep down on some of those fraud issues, but also not still price our folks out of the market where they're stuck and they're forced to go to Citizens Insurance.
As far as when we talk about the Sadowski funds and everything that transpired there, I know that sale funds were reduced, which is the fund that helps bring more affordable housing. How do you see that potentially moving in the future, or what is your vision for that?
Absolutely, and I serve on that appropriations committee, and I have to say that the Democratic members on there are also our ranking member, Representative Hart, is always very vocal in regards to that. So I think that we need to hear from more folks, and we are hearing that now from realtors and the business community. I know Central Florida Hotel Lodging Association as well, but we need to hear not just from constituents, but we need to hear from businesses as well about how important that is, and that we're driving away our workforce, and that's adding to our employment issues.
So when we come up, that's a good stance for us to talk about as Realtor Association.
Absolutely, and I know last session we tried to pass legislation to prevent them from raiding the fund, and although that did not move forward, but I think keep talking about that and keeping that. I think that something that's dedicated funding should just always be dedicated funding. I think that that's transparent, and that's what folks want. If we want to change things, then we need to change what those dedicated funding sources are, but we can't keep robbing and moving around, especially when we've had a great amount of federal dollars come in, and we have a great amount of reserves right now. So we definitely need to be doing those investments.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for all of that. Is there any particular legislation that you're going to be working on in the future that you want to tell us about?
Well, just staying on with affordable and attainable housing, Florida Housing Finance Corporation, which does the funding for affordable housing projects, I have bugged them a lot. They have come to Osceola and did a bus tour, which Links helped set up a bus, and so we took them down the 192 corridor to kind of show them that product and explain to them about the situation with folks in hotels. So I think they are being very helpful now and tired of hearing from me, but so they want to really work on getting together kind of a committee or a resource group that can just focus on Osceola, since we are kind of an interesting place, and we really need kind of some extra help there. So so I think that's a great positive for us, and that we're on their radar, and we have some appropriations that have gone in for affordable housing that are in the budget too to help with that corridor area. So I think that was something, with me taking on the rest of that with my district once reelected, that really want to work on that there.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being with us today. Anything else you want to add?
Just want to thank anybody who's watching and who watched this entire interview and stayed through it. And you can always reach out to my office. Carla is there when I'm in Tallahassee. Any questions or concerns, please reach out, because this is what we're here for.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.